Hi guys, it's Amber from Amber Eats Books, and I'm here today to bring you my most disappointing reads of 2017. Now I want to start off this video by saying that not all of these books were published in 2017, I just happened to finally read them in 2017. There is a common theme throughout this video, and that is that all of these books were hyped in some way. Whether they were hyped here on BookTube, whether they were hyped on Bookstagram, whether they were just hyped in my own mind, they were just hyped in some way and they didn't live up to what I thought that they were going to be. So anyway, let's jump right into these books. The first book on this list is Everything Everything by Nicola Yoon. I read this pretty early on in 2017. I remember when I picked it up from the library that I was super excited to get to it because I had heard so many amazing things here on BookTube. So I dove into it knowing that this was about a girl who had a rare disease where she was just allergic to everything and was sequestered in her house and couldn't leave, and then meets a boy next door and things kind of start to change in her life. I thought it was such a cute premise. I had never really read a book set like that. I'm still, even though now I've read YA for a year and a half or so, I still feel like I'm kind of new to it, especially at that time I still felt pretty new to it, so I didn't know what to expect going in. But I was excited to get to it, and then I read it, and then I was like, why did I waste my time? Because I didn't really enjoy it that much. I felt like the twist in it was crazy and unnecessary, and I just did not get what all the hype was about. The next book I'd like to talk about is Dark Matter by Blake Crouch. Now I want to preface this by saying that I really did enjoy this book. It just wasn't a 5-star read like I thought it was going to be, so it disappointed me in that way. This follows the story of a man who is coming home from work one night and is kidnapped, and when he wakes up, he's in a life, he's just not in his own life that he has known for all of these years. It is kind of a crazy concept, and I could see how for some people it might get a little confusing, but I followed along very easily, and I even guessed what was happening before it happened. But it just wasn't that amazing, mind-blowing read that I wanted it to be. I still recommend everyone go read it because it was a really fun time. The next book on my list is Salems Lot by Stephen King, and you guys know this pains me to put this on here because I love Stephen King. Some of his books are my all-time favorite. He has been my favorite author for years and years and years, though that's kind of maybe now switching a little bit as I'm getting older and rereading his works. I still enjoy them, but some of them I didn't love quite as much. This one, I cannot remember if I read it when I was younger. I don't think I did, so I felt like I was going into this one for the first time anyway. This is following the story of a man who has come back to this town recently, and he has heard a lot about this house that is there. There's just some strange things going on. 2 boys go out to kind of see what's happening at this house, and only 1 boy comes back. So it's one of those kind of like haunting, chilling stories. At least that's what I wanted it to be, and it didn't really end up being that for me. There were still some great quotable moments by Stephen King. I still really enjoyed it as far as the writing itself went. However, I felt like as far as the plot went, we just kept getting introduced to character after character after character, these long introductions, and it just really took me out of the story. I could not sink into it the way that I wanted to. So it was definitely not one of my favorite King books. Another book that really disappointed me this year was The Garden of Small Beginnings by Abby Waxman. I picked this book up for a book club. I cannot even remember what it was about at this point, but the cover was one that I loved. I was so excited. I even bought it, and I was like, yes, I finally get to own this book. And then I started reading the story, and I just did not like it. I didn't like the writing. I didn't like the characters. I just felt that it was so subpar for me. I was so disappointed. I ended up DNFing this book, probably around 100 pages maybe. I'm not sure. I can't even remember. That's how unmemorable it was. But I just remember feeling so sad that I didn't love this book because I'm not allowing myself to keep books that I didn't at least enjoy. So this book ended up getting unhauled at some point in 2017, which made me very, very sad because I just love that cover so much. Another book that disappointed me, probably because of the hype, was Behind Closed Doors by B.A. Paris. I want to say that this was another book that I enjoyed. Like, I thought it was entertaining, but I was expecting so much more. I was expecting to be blown away by this book the way that BookTube was talking about it. So I went into it with these really, really high expectations, and it was just okay. So I was really sad about that, but at least I enjoyed what I read. It wasn't quite like the last book that I couldn't even finish. So I did enjoy it. I just wanted more out of it. The next book I'd like to talk about is Turtles All the Way Down by John Green. Now, this book disappointed me in a way that was different from the other books. Yes, it was kind of hyped. I had hyped it pretty much in my own mind. I was really excited for it. When it first came out, not too many other people had reviewed it, and the ones that did, it was getting mostly positive reviews. So I was excited as far as that went going into it. I knew the main character had OCDs, and I myself have OCD, so I thought I was going to be able to connect with the main character a lot. While I was able to connect with her, I did find her very triggering for me. All of her obsessive thoughts and her compulsions were triggering my own, so that it made it very difficult to continue on in the book. And I actually ended up DNFing it around probably the 100-page mark, somewhere in there. I'm not sure. I hope to one day go back to it and read it and give it a second chance when I'm in a better state of mind. It is a signed copy, so even though I didn't really enjoy it, I'm definitely keeping it. But this is just one of those books that was kind of, it's not you, it's more me type of thing as far as the book went. But one day, maybe I'll go back and see if my opinion changes. We are finally down to probably my most disappointing read of 2017, and that is Lost Boy by Christina Henry. I had previously read Alice and Red Queen, both of which were some of my favorite books. I think Red Queen was in my top books, at least of 2017. It didn't quite make my top 10, but it was in my top books. Really loved it, and I know Alice was in my top books of 2016. So when this book was coming out, I was so hyped for it, especially because it is a retelling of Peter Pan, basically, and I love Tinkerbell, so I thought this was going to be a fantastic story, especially if it was anything like the Alice in Wonderland retellings that she had done. And then I started reading it, and it just was not as good as those other books, I'm sad to say. Did I still end up enjoying it? I still can remember the story, and I still think about it from time to time. So it was okay, but I thought that this book was going to be like an absolute favorite, and it did not turn out to be the case. And I was so sad because this is yet again another book that I pre-ordered and was like very eager to get to. So those are my most disappointing reads of 2017. What books did you guys read that just let you down this past year? Let me know down in the comments below. As always, have a great week and happy reading.